Assalamu alaikum, good day, and welcome. Under Malaysia's Construction, Design and Management, Regulations 2024, compliance is no longer based on intention, delegation, or paperwork alone. It must be clear, traceable, and defensible across the entire project lifecycle. This video introduces the two pillars of Defensible CDM compliance, developed by Othman Haji Ismail Associates, combining a structured CDM compliance ecosystem with proven capacity building to ensure real accountability. Sit back and focus on your role, inshallah, moving from assumed compliance to provable compliance.
If you're involved in construction in Malaysia, you need to hear this. The new CDM regulations for 2024 are here, and trust me, they're not just some minor update. We're talking about a complete overhaul of accountability. What you thought was good enough compliance, well, it probably isn't anymore. So let me ask you a question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. What does your compliance really look like? Is it just a nice, tidy folder full of ticked boxes and signed forms? You know, a mountain of paperwork that you secretly hope no one ever has to actually scrutinize? Well, that paper shield you've been holding up, it just got shattered. Because under these new 2024 regulations, just having good intentions, or trying to pass the buck, or hiding behind "this is how we've always done it," that's not just risky anymore. It's a direct path to liability. So, if the old way is broken, what does this new reality of compliance actually look like? Let's get into it. The new gold standard, the phrase you need to remember is defensible compliance. And this isn't about just saying you're compliant, it's about having an ironclad, traceable record that proves it, from the very first design sketch all the way to the final project handover. Every decision, every risk assessment, it all has to be demonstrable and ready for some serious scrutiny. And here's the problem. This change has exposed a massive issue for a lot of companies in the industry, what we call a critical compliance gap. It's that really dangerous space between what you think is compliant and what the regulations now demand you can actually prove. Okay, so faced with this gap, what are most companies trying to do? Well, unfortunately, a lot of them are falling into two very common and very dangerous traps. On one side, you've got the paperwork factory. You know the type, just churning out documents like the PCI and DRA to tick a box. Then on the other side, you have the training trap. Sending a bunch of staff on courses and just assuming that a certificate automatically equals real competence. The thing is, both of these approaches fail for the exact same reason. They produce outputs, sure, but they don't create genuine, provable accountability. Under these new rules, your whole process is going to be judged on whether you can answer these four crucial questions. Why was that specific decision made? Who exactly made it? On what basis was that risk calculated? And this is the big one. How can you prove without a shadow of a doubt that the people making those calls were truly competent? If you find yourself hesitating on any of these, your compliance is basically a house of cards. All right, enough about the problem. This is where we pivot to the solution. It's a structured framework that's built on two core pillars. And the entire goal of this framework is to do one thing: to drag your compliance out of that fuzzy world of assumptions and get it firmly into the world of hard, provable evidence. So let's start with a first pillar, which really tackles the structural side of things. We call it the ecosystem. Think of this as a governance framework that's designed to weave all your duties, your risk management, and your documentation into a single traceable system. It creates what we call the golden thread of compliance. And you can really see that thread in action right here. See, it starts with the pre-construction information, the PCI. That's everything you know about the project up front. That information then logically flows into the design risk assessments, or DRAs, which is where you identify and manage hazards. Those assessments then directly shape the construction phase plan, the CPP, which becomes your live playbook for safety on site. And it all culminates in the safety and health file, the SHF, which is the complete story of the project's safety journey. It's not four separate documents. It's one connected, evolving narrative. So what's the result? Well, your paperwork is no longer just a stack of dead templates collecting dust. It becomes a living, breathing audit trail. It's dynamic proof of your due diligence and your total control over the project's risks. But you know, a flawless system is totally useless without the right people running it. And that brings us to pillar 2, building capacity. This is the human side of the equation. Now, this pillar is built on a really powerful framework called SKETOC. Its job is simple, but it is absolutely crucial. It's designed to build and, even more importantly, to prove the competence of your team. And not just as a bunch of individuals, but as a cohesive, truly capable organization. So Escadox makes sure you have the right mix of skills, knowledge, experience, and training. But then it adds this critical fifth layer, organizational capability. This means you actually have the systems and support in place so your competent people can succeed. I mean, you could have the best engineer in the world, right? But if they don't have the right tools or the authority to make decisions, their competence is totally wasted. And by building this capability right into your company's DNA, you get rid of one of the biggest red flags for regulators, that inability to prove that your team was actually qualified to make the critical safety decisions they were making. Okay, so we have the system and we have the people. Now let's talk about the payoff and why these two pillars absolutely have to work together. I mean, just think about it for a second. A perfect system being operated by an incompetent team, that's like a high-performance race car with someone who's never driven before behind the wheel. It's going to crash the moment it's put under any real pressure. And you know, the reverse is just as dangerous. You can have the most experienced, brilliant people on your team, but without a structured system, all of their good decisions just vanish into thin air. There's no audit trail, no proof. Defensible compliance only exists when both of these pillars are working together. But when you do integrate them, the strategic advantages are huge and they're immediate. You slash your exposure to liability, you create crystal clear ownership of duties, you start making much smarter design risk decisions, and you build a powerful, defensible evidence base that is exactly what regulators are now demanding to see. So, at the end of the day, it all comes down to this one crucial idea. The new regulations are not about just appearing compliant. They are about being defensibly compliant. So I'll leave you with this one final thought. Take a hard look at your processes, at your paperwork, at your team. Ask yourself, is your compliance just a facade, or is it truly built to withstand scrutiny?